Awesome. Hello. How are you? Are we ready to go?
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh, we're live. Let's do it. I'm Ozzy from the Nerdy Basement. Welcome to the basement, Madeline. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Are you in a basement or is it just like a saying?
I'm No, it's just a saying. The inspiration of the name came from me living in the basement at some point where I had
Oh,
all my collectibles and stuff. So yeah,
oh, I
I
love
did
that.
live in the basement at some point.
Okay, I love that.
But yeah, I want to get into The Strangers Chapter 2. Congratulations on getting this movie out in theaters latest this month. So I wanna congratulate you guys on that. The film was awesome. Sound mixing is intense. It's grueling, heart pounding. I loved it, but let's get into the filming process. I know these films were shot back to back, although they were not shot chronologically. How grueling was that process for you guys?
It was very grueling, honestly. I think sometimes with PTSD, you like wipe the memory from your head. They say
Mm-hmm.
with childbirth, you forget how painful it was because it hurts so badly. Like your body like actually makes you forget. I think that's how I feel about these movies.
Nice. So let's talk. Same question with a little twist on it. I kind of want to get into your mind as an actual actor. You're portraying different versions of Maya throughout these three movies. You know, she does go, like you just mentioned, in PTSD. She's surviving an attack from some slashes, some killers. How challenging was that for you as an actor? You know, getting into those different mindsets, seeing that the film was not shot chronologically.
Yeah, I think films are film and TV is never shot chronologically, so as long
Mm-hmm.
as you've got a little bit under your belt, you kind of expect that and it's par for the course. Um
Mm-hmm.
the hardest part was keeping track of the arc, like her emotional arc, her journey of
Right.
regular person to fighting the circumstances and trying to survive to ultimately becoming a final girl. Like that arc was really important to me to make sure it was very clear and distinct. So I took a lot of notes and I really relied on my notebook heavily for literally every scene. Where's my notebook? Anyone see my notebook? I was like running around trying to find my notebook, like to read what was going on, just so I could remember exactly where she was the moment before and what has happened previously to her, and also to remember what she doesn't know. What she there are sometimes you go shoot something in movie three, and you go back to movie two, and you wouldn't know that this thing's happening in movie three, and so you've got to kind of remind
Mm-hmm.
yourself where the character is at all times.
No, I like that. I love that. I know you mentioned that in some of the previous interviews for the first movie where you were having your notebook and your notes and all that and changing things with the script on the fly as that was going on. So, which is why I wanted to dive into that a little bit. I also see that this movie, you were very physical in this movie as well compared to the first film. Let's talk about the physicality a little bit and how physically demanding it was for you. How'd you maintain that shape to be able to maintain that little bit of action that we see?
Yeah, I didn't do anything specific to maintain the shape. I think I was running so much in that movie that the stamina was just
Mm-hmm.
there. I like working out in general, so I kind of always have a good like baseline for stamina. But it was I'll be honest, it was quite tough. I think the fight sequences were particularly difficult because I haven't done a lot of hand-to-hand combat in my career
Mm-hmm.
previously. But it was really fun to start working on that tool and get it in my tool belt as an actor.
Nice. And how does that lend a little bit into the third movie? I know we're kind of getting ahead a little bit. We're waiting for this one to release. There is something special at the end. I'm not going to spoil it for those who are watching. What can you tease for us a little bit from Maya in that movie?
Maya finds weapons in movie three.
Oh, weapons.
She
I
doesn't
like the
have to
sound of that.
doesn't have to rely on these old guys anymore.
I mean, those do come in handy sometimes, but
They
yeah,
do.
weapons. We do like weapons in slasher
Weapons
movies.
are better than these tiny little fists, I'll tell you.
They do some damage, though. I tell you that much. Those who watch the movie will see they do some damage. I want to dive a little bit into the strangers. I know this is more of a production side question. And you deal with that a little bit. How was it diving into the backstory to some of these characters, the strangers specifically, to kind of like get an insight on where their minds were, what shaped them to be the killers, and understanding their motives a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was incredibly important to honor the original IP by never giving a reason why they do what they do,
Mm-hmm.
but to give a peek behind the curtain of the moments that they were the strangers before Maya. And that's what we were trying to find there's a very delicate balance of that in this movie and even more so in the third film. But I think it informs the audience in a way that honestly makes it maybe more terrifying to me personally to see the origin of these people.
Right. And also, does that how was it kind of like you just mentioned? Not the original IP kind of gives you these are just random attacks, and we kind of get that here too. But the backstory does kind of are these truly random attacks, or they're just targeting specific people due to the location and things of that nature? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean they are still random attacks, and that becomes very apparent in the through the third movie. But I think it's very
Hmm.
interesting. Somebody said to me earlier, Maya is the first person that hasn't been random because they tried killing her, it didn't
Right.
work. Now they're
Exactly. That is true.
actively
Hmm.
pursuing her in movie two. And I think that's because they don't want to lose. They don't like to not be successful in their killing. And this is the
Hmm.
first time that's ever happened to them. And it's really frustrating to Scarecrow. And it creates this very interesting dynamic between Scarecrow and Maya that plays through movie two and well into movie three of almost respect in a weird way on his end for her.
Right. Is that due to that one moment towards the end of the film, the ambulance and stuff like that? I don't want to spoil it. Does that
I
kind of
think
plays into that a little bit? Because I feel that there was a certain reaction from Scarecrow. You know what I mean?
I yes, that, but I think if you even go back to movie one, there's this moment where he puts the axe to the door and his eye is looking through the door and locking into Maya. And from the
Hmm.
beginning, there's something magnetic about that. There's something interesting about that.
Yeah, there is an interesting dynamic, and I love the direction of the movie, subtly highlighting that and things of that nature. And again, you becoming the final girl. How there's certain tropes that come with that. How do you guys approach subverting those tropes and being a little more empowering than just how they
Yeah.
were back in the older early ages of horror movies?
Well, that's what I think is so great about having a trilogy of films that you know you're making from the jump is I think I mean, The Final Girl is the coolest thing in the world. So, when I was a kid to be a woman who loved horror and to see women succeeding in killing the villain was the coolest thing in the world to me. Now, with this kind of a film, you have more time to make it believable. Like it's very not
Mhm.
believable to me that in the course of a day, a girl in a film can become a killer in one movie.
Right.
And so
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
what's great about these movies is that you have the time to watch the character struggle with, can I do this? Can I kill this thing, this person? Is this in me? Would I rather die? Like you're watching like in real time a person struggle with every decision she makes. And I think that would be the thing that I think we subvert the most is just the time it takes to become a killer. It's not easy to push someone past their breaking point.
No, absolutely, and that also dives into the mental aspect of all of this. Being in a scenario like that, how you think that changes people as victims, whether they survive it or their immediate circle seeing something like that unfold to someone that was close to them.
You know, I don't know about real life, but I think in this film specifically, it Maya's grief is the heartbeat of the story at the beginning of movie two. And I
Hmm.
think very quickly, fight or flight takes over. And it was interesting as an actor and an artist to find the primal instinct within her, where it's almost like you forget everything else, and the only thing you think about is survive. It's the only thing that is flashing through your head is just survival. And to find that it's a very human and primal thing to just want to be alive. I think every creature on this planet can feel that. And so it was really interesting to dive into that kind of the machinations of a person who's just lost the love of their life having
Hmm.
to continue trying to survive. How do you juggle those two feelings?
No, yeah, absolutely. There's one specific scene that stands out to me throughout this entire movie is the boar scene. I want to get your aspect, your perspective on filming that because that was intense. It is the standout scene for me. There's a lot of standout scenes, but that one was truly intense. The sound mixing, all of that. How was that? How was it putting that together?
It was on the page incredibly intimidating as an actor who's
Hmm.
portraying that. And originally they weren't going to have me work with a creature actor. They wanted me to just react to nothing. And I was like, hey, for something like
Hmm.
this, I really need specificity. That's the most important thing is something that I can react to. So we got an amazing creature actor who I was able to really work with as the boar, and that really helped me. And then, I mean, even in the VFX design, like we worked tirelessly at making sure the hair moves properly when you get into the
Right.
weeds of the
Hmm.
VFX, and then you get into sound design and to make the sound realistic. And it really was part of probably the coolest part of making this film was seeing that come together because I've never been a part of such a huge behemoth of VFX before.
Yeah, no, that was great. I mentioned that in some of my early reviews for it. That the sound editing, the sound mixing, and that truly
Osvaldo, I'm so
drives up
sorry,
that
but
play
this
that
is your
pace.
last
Yeah,
question. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, sure, no problem. I got it. Again, before we rapid fire question, favorite horror killer, any franchise, go.
Horror killer, any franchise?
Any franchise, go.
Oh my God, probably Freddy Krueger.
Oh, that's a nice pick. That's a nice pick.
Come
I
into my
like that one.
nightmares. Yeah.
But all right, Madelaine, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to speak to us here at the Nerdy Basement. Hopefully, we can welcome you back again. The Strangers Chapter 2 releases in theaters on September 26th. Make sure you guys check it out.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.